Welcome back to Birds of a Feather Talk Together. It's the usual crew this week, John, Shannon, RJ, and Amanda, and today we're diving into a tiny but fascinating bird. This week it's Amanda's turn to pick, and she chose the blue-gray gnatcatcher. You've probably heard its high, buzzy call in the trees before you ever laid eyes on it. It's a small, energetic bird that has a ton of personality. We'll be talking about what makes the blue-gray gnatcatcher so fun to watch, how to spot it, and why it's one of Amanda's favorites. Okay, time to go grab your binoculars and let's get into it.
That's so true. There's like some things we can only get at Sunset, some things you can only get at Whole Foods, and then some things you can only get at Jewel and Mariano's. Each of us grew up with Dominic's I was in Libertyville, he was in Glen Ellen, and it's like I miss Dominic's so bad. So I have to tell you guys, I have like a interesting story. I always tell RJ this. Oh, are we recording? Sorry. Do you mind if I tell them this story?
Sure, tell it.
So,
I like the story.
So I read, so I grew up going to a Dominic's, and you too, right, RJ?
Yeah. There was one in Glen Ellen.
We lived, our family lived closer to Dominic's, so we went there much more than Jewel. And during the Bulls, when they had their 6 championships, I think it might have been the last championship, Dominic's put out an ad like saying like Dominic's congratulates the Chicago Bulls for their 6th, national NBA championship. And
no, it was just Michael Jordan, right? Didn't they just congratulate Michael Jordan?
Maybe that was it. But the ad, it was in the newspaper, like it was in the Daily Herald and maybe the Trib, I don't know. But it had a picture of Michael Jordan, and I found out that Michael Jordan sued Dominic's because he felt that them using his picture for that congratulatory message conveyed that he was a Dominic's spokesperson or whatever, and that killed them. That's what I heard. Wow. I heard that's what brought them down.
Huh. It wasn't the fact that when our son was little, John took him to Dominic's at night before we put him to bed and got him a bottle of water, came home. We lived less than a block away from the Dominic's, came home, got him out of his stroller, and he lost his ever-loving mind. And I said, "What did you do to him in the grocery store?" And John says, "I gave him a bottle of water." And then I looked at the bottle, and I'm like, "You got him water, Joe."
That's how we
Who
found
knew there was caffeinated water. Give a 1-year-old caffeinated water, and he was just
you drugged
bouncing
him
off of the wall.
So I guess we should have sued.
That is hilarious. Yeah. You could have
that's right.
taken
They don't have
Dominic's
any
down
money left
first.
to give you.
It was actually.
Yeah, was this after 1998? It was? Okay.
Yeah.
The only way we could get him to eat when he was little was to give him Sports Illustrateds with Michael Jordans in them.
Oh.
And so we would go everywhere with these crusty, disgusting Sports Illustrateds because he would look through them looking for Michael Jordan.
Oh, that's so cute.
And he would not eat without them.
Oh,
so
did you what was the connection between that and eating? Did you tell him if you eat you can be like Michael Jordan?
No, no, it's because he was a good eater at first, and then before he turned 1, John went away, I think to Bolivia. John went away, and he went on a food strike, a hunger strike.
Oh.
When John went away.
Oh,
and
poor
so
guy.
At that point, we would do anything to get him to eat the basics. And he was so invested in sports. I mean, his first conscious activities were, once he could sit up, were to throw things at us. Not because he was mad, but because all of a sudden we realized he was extremely athletic and he could throw things. But he also, when he was super little, he wanted this was well before he was a year old, he wanted the TV turned on to ESPN. And so he learned how to take the remote control, and you could not fake it with a play remote control, a broken remote control, a kid's remote control. No way. And he would turn the TV on and put it on channel 33, which was for whatever cable thing we had was ESPN. And he did that when he was 6 months old. You know? So
hilarious.
everything for him was about sports. His first word was cat, and his second and third words were Michael Jordan.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
That's awesome.
That's so cute.
True.
He's a Chicago boy.
How about those 85 Bears?
That's awesome. Yes.
Yes.
RJ was not born in 85, but my kindergarten in Vernon Hills
I might be
had a teddy bear. What's that?
No, you can keep going. I was going to explain my Super Bowl baby story.
Oh, okay. I'll yes. Okay. So I was just gonna say my kindergarten had a teddy bear picnic for the Bears Super Bowl win, and everybody brought in their little teddy bear, like, for this teddy bear picnic, and it's like
Super Bowl shuffle.
My only memory of the and the truffle not the truffle shuffle, the Super Bowl shuffle.
The truffle shuffles, Goonies.
That's Goonies. That's my other favorite shuffle. Yes. Yeah, RJ, tell him your Super Bowl story.
So there was like an ad that ran like, I don't know, years ago, but it was all these people that were like named after football players, and it was like, you know, years after, like somebody named like Peyton was named after, like 10 years after like Peyton Manning won. And it made me realize that I was born 9 months after the Bears won the Super Bowl. So I had this thought that I was a Super Bowl celebration baby.
I'm sure you were. Sure didn't hurt.
I think my parents would deny it. But
Let's see. At least they didn't name you in
86. September of 86.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Little fridge.
Yeah.
Fridge pole. Yeah.
Kind of like
Fridge
that.
pole. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I do too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind Walter
bet
either.
there's-
That'd be a cool name.
Probably a
Yes.
pretty good surge.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even Peyton. Peyton's a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Amanda, do we want to get into your bird? It's your week.
Yes. Yes. And I used to say this will be short and sweet. I don't have a lot of scientific. You guys will contribute all the scientific. Mine is just more awe and adoration. And so my bird is the Blue-gray Gnatcatcher. And I picked this just because we were I really like when we do birds. I like learning about birds that we see in our environment frequently. And this is a bird that we first discovered at the Botanic Garden on I can't remember. We call it Smoothie Island. It's like where they grow all the fruits and vegetables. And that was the first time we saw one. And it was so cute. It was such a tiny bird, and that was our first sighting of one. Always thought it was so cool after that. And then we went to Erickson Woods with the Lake Cook Audubon group earlier this summer, and just saw a ton of these blue-gray gnatcatchers. And it was hilarious because on these this particular walk, the guide used a mob tape, and it was hilarious because at certain points the blue-gray gnatcatchers were landing on the speaker. Like, it was hilarious. It was so cute.
Wow.
They were like all over the place. Yeah, so that was like another really exciting. And then just recently we were on a walk just by Ravinia, and we were underneath a small tree. It might have been like a crabapple tree. It was just this really small tree, and we heard and saw one and just observed it for several minutes, and it was just so cool. So that was why I picked it. And I was going to say, I just think they're the cutest thing. I think for our next what's
Oh, there we go.
thing we did where we pitted the birds against each other, and John John used it as like a Mortal Kombat thing.
Yeah.
We should do it for cute.
I'm changing the rules of that game because that bird, that was a Biggest Loser experience.
I think Blue-gray Gnatcatcher is going to come in as a mid-major.
Well, that's what I think we should do. A cute one. It's a champion.
I could see that.
Maybe it'll be the Loyola of 2026.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the Cinderella story.
Boost it. Yeah.
But you guys should tell people what a mob tape is.
Oh yeah,
because those are weird words to use for people who don't know a lot about birds. A mob tape.
Gosh.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm so excited. We actually know something. RJ, take it away.
Okay, well, so I know these are controversial, right? Because I feel like we've gone with people who do them and people who don't. But so basically, it's a recording of a bunch of different bird calls during warbler season is when we've had people do it. And so they play a bunch of different calls that come out of a speaker and put it in a bush, and it just tracks a bunch of different birds in the area. So they played this mob tape out of a speaker in a bush, and a lot of warblers landed in the bush, and blue-gray gnatcatchers and all kinds of birds, and we got to kind of see everything before they kind of flew off.
Yeah.
So they're playing the sounds of birds that are mobbing a predator. It might be a crow, or it could be an owl, or something like that.
I didn't know that's why it's called that.
Yeah. So what's happening is that these birds are curious, and that alarm call is there to tell the other birds, okay, there's something you should be careful of. And some birds, you can watch some birds go after crows and hawks. They're just like these little birds, relentless. And I think of blue-gray gnatcatchers in that it just intensely curious little birds. So they were certainly
they were coming to help.
Check out.
That's even cuter, Shannon. They were ready to help out.
They're a fascinating
sass
little
it up.
bird. They're one of they fly under the radar at some level because they can be really common across most of the continental United States. They go all the way down into Mexico. They're amazing. They're populations that are year-round residents in Mexico, and then there are these populations around us which are migrants, and they arrive. They winter in the southern U.S.
Oh, great.
They arrive early, they leave early, and they can just be incredibly common in a lot of the forest preserves in the Chicago area. And yet at the same time, if you're not looking for them, you don't see them.
That's awesome.
And taxonomically, it's an interesting story because the family Sylviidae, which is what they're part of, is made up of a bunch of birds that all look just like that. I'm sorry, I said Sylviidae. Polyoptilidae. Yeah, thank you.
They're not in Sylviidae, John.
Yep, because Sylviidae doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. That's.
I was going to call you out on that, John.
Yeah,
that's changed a lot.
That part of the tree of life for songbirds has had so much changes in the last 20 years. It's incredible.
How are they closely related to the kinglets? Because that was another thing we thought.
What they're not most closely to in the trees now is wrens.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about that is wrens are New World, and just like wrens, the gnatcatchers actually have a bunch of different species that include relatives in Central and South America, with just a few species reaching North America, and blue-gray being the one that has actually extended all the way across the continent. Yeah, so they're an incredibly successful bird.
We have 437 of them. So that's a representation of the fact that they are pretty common, even if they fly under everybody's radar, which I think they kind of do, and I'm not sure.
No, they're easy to overlook, and which is funny because once you see them, they flash that long tail. They're 45% this long tail that has white outer tail feathers that they literally flash all the time. And so once you get on them, they're really distinctive. So that's one of the things is people will say, well, you can mistake them for warblers and vice versa. And that's true to some extent. But if you start watching them and see them very many times, it becomes really pretty easy. They're very, very active compared to almost any of the other warblers. And that white on the tail is something that you almost always get a good look at eventually. And the tail is so long that it's really distinctive.
And I have to say, another thing that I loved about the one we just saw recently that RJ and I observed for several minutes was its sound or its call is so not pretty. It just like sounds like, I don't know. It reminds me of one of my favorites is like the spotted toady.
But distinctive.
It's kind of just like not a pretty sound.
And I'll admit that it's one of the things that I've basically lost in my hearing range. So it's a really high thing, and so I always work overlooking them sometimes. And it's one that Merlin will pick up if I'm using Merlin in the field very often before I do. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Very cool.
Here, I'm going to play it real quick. Amanda, is it coming through?
It is. Mm-hmm. Sounds great.
But John, this is an interesting
Can you hear
experiment.
it, John?
Can you hear it?
Yeah, and I just said...
Okay.
For real?
I do.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Be interesting
if I turn them way up to whether or not... Do you have your hearing aids on?
Again...
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
But... So another reason why I think they get seen less frequently is, so they'll arrive here early as the trees are leafing out. And in that period of time, they're setting up territories. And so they're probably, you're talking about the mobbing. They're probably mobbing a lot more that time of year when they're setting up territories than other times. And then once the breeding season starts and they actually have nests and eggs, they're really focused on just foraging high up in the trees that have lots of leaves on them now. And so they can just be hard to pick out.
To me, they're also interesting because they're a kind of canary in the coal mine of global warming, and the fact that their distributions are expanding northward pretty rapidly as the temperatures warm, because they are one of the first things to arrive back during the breeding season. So they're nesting earlier and further north because we're making the habitats more hospitable. But at the same time, cowbirds are trying to take them out. So it's a delicate balance. Mm-hmm. But they've expanded their range 314 kilometers north.
Oh, wow.
Over the last 20 to 30 years. That's substantial and a true indication of what, if you live in Chicago, you feel, which is that winter is nowhere near what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it just shows you how complex that whole area of research and monitoring is, because what that indicates to me, at least, is that they're having enough fledging success and enough population increases that they're able to actually expand those distributions. And so...
Yeah, but the southern part may come with, though, because...
I don't think anybody's assessed the population structure in that bird. It would be a very interesting...
It's true.
Have they? Well, okay.
Yes, they have.
No, in the West,
well, I don't know about all of it, but yeah,
things
because
going
it's controversial.
On. But that's actually...
Do you not remember?
California gnatcatcher, not blue-gray.
What's the controversy?
What's going on?
The question of distinctiveness of populations and what that and what you use as units for conservation. So what do you do with something that's named subspecies or a taxon of interest, a taxon under threat, when you actually get data on it and find out it's not different? It's not habitat-wise, it's not different when you do sophisticated statistical analyses of ranges.
So
it's not different.
This is a story of this other species of Polyoptila in California called California Gnatcatcher, which breeds in the coastal areas of Southern California, in areas that are been highly encroached upon by human settlements, and then also occurs all the way down into Baja California. And so there were subspecies designations given to the birds in California, and there's been a kind of raging debate about whether or not that's quote unquote subspecies is actually a valid difference between the birds in Mexico. Yeah, I mean, I think the evidence in this particular case shows that the genetic data.
Side or the other?
it's one population. It's not, there's no, and that doesn't mean that it's not important to save the California gnatcatchers that are on the coast of California, but it's an interesting challenge sometimes to point out to people that it's not because they're a different population in this sense. Mm-hmm. But, I wanted to point out a crazy thing. Shannon's always talking about what makes a bird successful. No, and one of the things I stumbled on in looking into blue-gray gnatcatchers was that there was this one study that looked at 71 stomachs of blue-gray gnatcatcher and pulled out 70 families of insects. And, we always talk about birds as
that's amazing.
As potentially
I saw that too.
Playing major roles in controlling some aspects of insect populations. And, in this case, I mean, again, they're just doing what they're doing, and they're going to eat what they can get access to. But at the same time, there are a lot of blue-gray gnatcatchers eating a lot of mosquitoes and things like that over the course of any given year in any part of the Midwest or anywhere else in the southern part of North America. And so they're a pretty important part of the ecosystem in the sense of that.
That's awesome. That makes them even cuter.
But now I'm going to make the cute go over the top because I love what their name means. Polioptila, the polios part is in Greek. It's Greek derivative means gray, and tilar means plumage, so gray plumage. But the cerulean part means the deep blue of the Mediterranean sky.
Beautiful.
At cool. Midday, that kind of thing. So their name is cute too.
Oh, I love that.
For something that in some ways is just little and nondescript, they're an incredibly beautiful bird.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
They are beautiful. Yeah. As I say, I totally agree that they're so pretty. And I was to say, when you see them up close, you really do admire the different colors in them. And I wanted to ask you guys, this isn't specific to blue-gray gnatcatchers, but when I was looking at I was looking at a bunch of different pictures and I learned about fecal sacs. It was something I'd never heard of. And, I wanted you guys to tell everybody about that because I know they're not, again, this isn't common. I mean, it isn't specific or unique to the blue-gray gnatcatcher, but in looking at a bunch of pictures of their nests, this was something I observed. And can you tell us a little bit about fecal sacs?
So blue-gray gnatcatchers, again, they're small. And so they build these really incredibly well-structured nests.
Their nests are like works of art, decorated and held together with spider webs and decorated with lichens on the outside. They're really pretty and they're very elaborate in that sense.
And another reason I think they're successful is they lay 4 to 5 eggs. And so if things go well and they pull off a brood, they're producing an awful lot of young in a given year from a nest. And fecal sacs are these linings on the inside of eggs. And when the chick hatches, there'll be a fecal sac in the nest. And that's material that could lead predators to the nest itself. And so the adults are very programmed to actually remove those fecal sacs and take them away from the nest site. And
okay. So is it
so it's just in the
when
egg?
they're an egg? Oh, okay. That was not the
impression
I got when I was reading.
We were confused by what we were reading.
It's the baby birds poop and they eat them. They eat it. I mean, that's what a fecal sac is, right?
That's what I thought.
They don't all eat it, but sometimes they get tossed out of the nest by parents, I guess.
But they remove it so there's no fecal matter in the nest.
Yeah,
it's like a way to like
clean.
get it out and move it. Okay.
Yeah, I read something.
So we went down a deep dive because we were like didn't know anything about it. And Amanda saw a picture of a mother bird like removing the fecal sac to like get rid of it or something. And so we went down a deep dive to see like do all birds do this. And we sent you that picture of that green heron nest that we saw like a month ago. And the way we found that was underneath there was just so much bird poop. So we were like, do they have fecal sacs? And so we looked up that it sounded like herons just poop off the side of the nest, whereas the blue-gray gnatcatchers have the fecal sacs that the parents remove and get rid of. Is that all accurate?
Or eat.
That was our
Or
eat.
right.
Oh, right. Or eat.
Or some species eat the fecal sac too. They don't just package their poop and get rid of it. But I don't know if the babies eat them, but the parents certainly do sometimes across some species.
I was to say, Shannon, we read the same thing you did about the parents eating the fecal sac. Because what we read said that in the beginning, the baby birds can't digest a lot, so they're putting a lot through to the fecal sac that's actually nutritious for an older bird that can digest it. Yeah, which is, they said, is akin to like eating a diaper, which I just love that.
A chunky diaper, I suppose.
Even better. Who doesn't love the expression chunky diaper? Yeah, I was excited about the fecal sacs. And just wanted to...
Well, what did you learn today is Shannon's question. Amanda learned about the fecal sac.
Oh, it was definitely the fecal sacs, yeah.
Excellent. I'll send you guys some pictures. We actually, I think it was last summer, I actually found a nest with 4 chicks in it that were pretty well along by the time I found it in a tree just like one house down over the road.
Oh, cool.
And so it's neat because I was watching, I was out there and saw this thing shoot by me and it was small, and I suddenly realized it was a blue-gray gnatcatcher, and it was kind of darting in and out of this one place. And I looked a little more, and I actually found the nest.
Oh,
cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love the nest
pictures.
Like, it looks like it's like part of the tree almost. Their nests, like it looks like a knot in a tree, which is really cool.
Shannon, you were right. Their nests are so beautiful, and they're so camo. They're really, really excellent.
No, I just wanted to make a point that Amanda told a story about when we saw all those blue-gray gnatcatchers. Like, we saw like 10 that one day near Erickson's Woods, and it almost got to the point where I was like taking them for granted, where I was like, really wanted to see warblers, and I was like, oh, it's just another blue-gray gnatcatcher. And now that it's like August, like I would kill to have a day where I would get out there and see 10 blue-gray gnatcatchers. So it's like, I wish that I appreciated it that day more. And that's a note for next season to really take it all in and appreciate it when you have a day like that.
And this is something we've seen in the yard in past years, which is that the other thing is after the young fledge, you'll sometimes see an adult with a couple individuals in tow. And so, you'll see one small bird moving in the tree, and then suddenly there are a couple others, and you start realizing that all 3 of them are blue-gray gnatcatchers, and that's what's going on, is they've got their fledged young that they're taking out and showing the ropes.
Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute. One thing I wanted to ask about, because this is something I have never seen, but we had read that they, along with that nasally call, they mix snippets of other birds' repertoires into their songs. Have you ever heard that?
Well, maybe years ago when I could hear them. I guess what I'd say is their song is a jumble of notes, and it's interesting to me that people think they do mimic. That's a whole topic we could go over with respect to the degrees to which birds mimic things. And so birds, like if you listen to lesser goldfinches, or American goldfinches and lesser goldfinches too, but they seem to throw in sounds that sound like they've picked them up from other birds. And so I wouldn't have said I've listened to that many blue-gray gnatcatchers from the sense of hearing that, but it is just a jumble of notes that they're putting out there when they're singing.
Why do birds do that? Is it something with distracting predators, or why would a bird do that?
Because they can.
It's showing off.
Well, so I would say for sure on that, in the sense that it can be probably used in a lot of different ways. it maybe, if you're mimicking a bird that's bigger than you on your territory, maybe it kind of makes that bird not as willing to come into that territory, for instance. I think mimicry could have a lot of uses. And I say that in part because there's a bird from the southwestern U.S. called phainopepla, which is this really interesting. It's from this family that's the silky flycatchers. But I've held those in the hand, and they have this quiet song that they start doing like that, where they'll do Cooper's hawk and red-tailed hawk, and it's almost like they have that ability to do that because if maybe they get caught by another bird or something's gone wrong, they can actually do that vocalization hoping to scare off whatever's bothering them or something. I don't know. I mean, like, why would you?
I love that.
And they're really spot on imitations of those birds. And
that is so cool.
Yeah, no, we could do a whole thing on mimicry down the road.
That's awesome. I love that. All right. Well,
So
I was going to say, that's all for the blue-gray gnatcatcher. Unless, RJ, were you going to say something?
No, I was going to say we've got a mailbag question if we want to get into it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So this is from Scotty. So Scotty says, hope you're all well. I'm still loving your show. It gets me through this unpredictable British weather and long work days. My question, I often see vultures and condors lumped together when I'm researching or reading books, but it always says vultures and condors are the same family. Is there a difference? Would love a vulture episode. They are my favorite birds. Much love, Scotty from Manchester, UK.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Scotty. I love it. We have listeners in the UK.
Go
I think
for it.
Scotty's written to us before, so thanks, Scotty.
Thanks, Scotty.
Cool. Go for it, Shannon.
Well, there's a few things that are nested in that. First off, vulture is kind of a common term for things that are not all each other's closest relatives. So the vultures she might be seeing are not the vultures that we're seeing around Chicago, which are New World vultures. So New World vultures are not the closest relatives of Old World vultures, even though a lot of their habits are similar. They stick their head in dead things and have bald heads and have that kind of a lifestyle. So vulture is kind of an overarching term for that kind of a behavior, but condor has a specific meaning, and it comes from the Quechua word, and that is been the conquistadors put it into the Spanish language, and then it comes from there to English. So that's where condor comes from with respect to Andean condor. That's where that word was first applied. Now it goes to California condor too because it's big and majestic. But again, that again is something that doesn't necessarily signify relationships either. So, vulture, when I looked up what vulture meant, Latin, and it means to tear. So again, pointing to what they actually do, which is stick their head inside dead things and tear flesh out. If we were worried about fecal sex, now look at what we're talking about. So what do you think, John?
I mean, I think that's a accurate assessment of things. It's a really fascinating taxonomic history lesson to think about New World and Old World vultures, and then the condors are part of the New World vulture clade, and so, but they're incredibly interesting birds, and we should absolutely talk about. We could talk about multiple types of vultures too. So they do some wacky things. One of my favorite vultures is an Old World one called palm nut vulture, which is actually frugivorous. It eats palm nuts.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So not meat.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But if you saw one, you'd go, "Well, that's a vulture."
It's bald
crazy.
too.
Yep.
Does it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Even though it doesn't need to stick its head in anything.
That's really
Cool.
interesting.
It's actually fairly feathered, actually, but it's definitely a vulture. It's just
Yeah.
evolved to things. really differently. It's got kind of like a red face on it.
Cool.
Yeah. So I mean, again, vultures are incredible birds, and things like California condor and Andean condor are just really amazing stories in various ways associated with population recovery in the case of California condor, and then just cultural history in terms of Andean condor.
And you should look up pictures of king condors too. They're pretty spectacular. King vultures, sorry. Yeah. They're pretty
what are those
interesting
like?
looking.
So that's one another
In real life?
They have this incredibly multicolored head that's really beautiful, and I saw several of them in various places in southeastern Peru when I was there, and they're just a big, predominantly forest-dwelling New World vulture, and but they're just wild looking for sure.
So is it feathers that make up the different colors on their head, or is it different skins?
All skin. Yeah.
Very
colors.
cool.
Cool.
Really neat.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They're a
Is it
monotypic
just Peru?
genus. Yeah. Okay. Well, they're all the way through Amazonia up into southern Mexico. I think there's even I think it's an accepted photograph of one in Florida.
Oh, wow.
Fairly
What?
well. Yeah. I'm not sure about
That's crazy.
That's very
Well, I mean,
cool.
that's the thing about vultures; they can get up and soar. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, turkey vulture, which is the one most people know in North America, is an incredible bird. I mean, they breed in the Falkland Islands, and so so there's
Whoa.
just a ton of neat stuff with vultures.
Cool. Well, yeah, we should definitely do a
That's
vulture
awesome.
episode then.
I was
For
gonna
sure.
say I'm gonna
Ask
do
Scotty
turkey
which one she wants us to talk about.
Yeah,
She
Scotty,
should get back to us and tell us.
let us know, Scotty.
Or they, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I
I
love
think
vultures,
that's everything then. Amanda, do you want to close it out on your bird?
Sure. I was just gonna say, vote for the blue-gray gnatcatcher when we do our cuteness final four.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Starting early. Yeah. So bring it on. Bring on your cute birds. We'll see who fares the best.
It's not going to be blue-gray gnatcatcher.
Oh, you wait, Shannon.
Fighting words.
I don't have to wait. Well, I guess I lost last time because people voted incorrectly. So
That's not
The
true.
people spoke, Shannon.
Yeah, the people spoke.
Thanks everyone for listening. Hope you all see some blue-gray gnatcatchers sometime soon. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. We love you all and see you all next week. Thanks everyone.